Hey guys, what's happening? This is Toastee, and I'm bringing you a Yu-Yu match on the PO server against KyrkRTG and Professor Bodhi. Now, as you can tell by the two teams, Kyrk's team has Nidoqueen, which is able to set up the Toxic Spikes and the Stealth Rocks, and does have some heavy hitters on his team like Sharpedo, Kingdra. Mismagius is a hard hitter once it set up some Calm Minds. Of course, he has a Bioplume there, most likely for aromatherapy recovery, or aromatherapy and shenanigans like that. The Spiritomb is always annoying as well. And you can see from his opponent's team, his opponent's more physically defensive based, with the only special wall being Lanturns. So if he's able to get the Lantern out of the way, Mismagius will have a pretty easy time sweeping through the rest of the team. Though of course his opponent does carry Xatu, and that is really annoying for the hazards, so Kyrk is going to have to watch out for the Xatu switching in, trying to bounce back Toxic Spikes and Stealth Rocks, since Kyrk does not carry a Rapid Spinner, of course. Though once the Xatu's out of the way, the Nidoqueen will be able to set up the Toxic Spikes and Rocks, as I've already said. But I have been rambling a little bit too much, but we will get on with the match, shall we? Kyrk is going to lead off with his Nidoqueen. His opponent's going to lead off with Darmanitan. Now, Darmanitan really can't do anything to this Nidoqueen. Most Darmanitans I've seen are Choice Scarf or Choice Band. This one is probably Choice Scarf. And Kyrk knows that the Xatu is coming in, so he's going to Dragon Tail it out. That's a very good play on his part. And he switches into Kingdra as his opponent double switches in the Xatu, probably predicting that Kyrk was just going to go for the Stealth Rocks and Toxic Spikes. Though, in my opinion, that's a little bit ballsy to do at the beginning of the match. Kyrk makes a very nice play, goes to his substitute while the Xatu goes for the Thunder Wave. And at this point, Kyrk is free to set up Dragon Dances. Now, this looks like it's going to be an easy, sweep for Kingdra. But here he goes for the Waterfall. Unfortunately, he doesn't get the flinch, which is, quite unfortunate in my opinion. And his opponent reveals that his Dusknoir does have the Curse. Now, if you don't know what Curse does, it takes about, I think, half of your HP, I believe. And it puts a Curse on the other opponents. And each turn, your health goes down by 25%. This, of course, only works if you're using Curse as a Ghost-type Pokemon. But the Spiritomb goes for the Pain Split, trying to gain some recovery, but Kyrk realizes that at this point in the game, staying in while he's cursed is not a very good idea. So here, he's going to go for the Substitute as his opponent tries to go for the Pain Split. I personally think the Pain Split was very obvious, and Kyrk made a nice play here. He's going to go straight for the Outrage, hoping for a KO, but unfortunately his opponent lives with just a smidgen of HP, gets the Curse off, and is able to take the Kingdra out. So it is 5-5 right now, folks, and it is looking very good. And this is a very good switch in for Kyrk because Darmanitan won't be able to do much. And as he protects, Tangrowth comes in. Tangrowth is going to be able to take on whatever the Sharpedo wants to throw at it. So at this point, Kyrk is going to throw in Spiritomb to take the Sleep Powder, kind of as death fodder at this point. Spiritomb will not be able to gain enough HP back to be any viable use, in my opinion. And the Tangrowth is going to do what Tangrowths do best. They're going to Sleep Powder, they're going to Leech Seed, they're going to do all those shenanigans. But here he goes for the Power Up, just trying to finish off the Spiritomb, which is probably the better play rather than just Leech Seed, because that would have been a waste of Leech Seed. And here his opponent's going to make a double switch out in the Xatu. So his opponent was probably predicting the Sleep Powder, because Vileplume does carry Sleep Powder quite often. And Mismagius is free to set up a substitute, but unfortunately enough for Mismagius, Bisharp is really annoying, especially when he gets behind a substitute. Usually Bisharps carry Iron Head, which, causes a potential flinch, and also Sucker Punch, which is a nice priority. But here, Mismagius goes for the Hidden Power. I am thinking that is most likely Hidden Power Fighting, because on my Ghost types, I personally like to run Hidden Power Fighting. His opponent here, in my opinion, was playing a little bit ballsy. He should probably have gone for the Iron Head, but he goes for the Sucker Punch this turn, and Kyrk is able to finish him off with a nice Hidden Power Fighting. And that is a Bisharp out of the way. Bisharp was one of the bigger threats in his team, but here he doesn't want to waste his Mismagius, so he's going to send out his Spiritomb to die to the Flare Blitz, and Darmanitan's not going to take too much from the recoil since Spiritomb was already pretty low anyway. But Kyrk is going to go for the Protect, trying to get the speed boost, get the speed boost going, but fortunately for him, Tangrowth is still there, still going to wall him, won't be able to do much when that Tangrowth is there with the Sharpedo. But he sends out his Vileplume to get sleep powdered, which I think was a very good play in my opinion. You don't want the Sharpedo, you don't want one of your physical sweepers down like that. But here's opponent is forced to U-turn out because Nidoqueen. His opponent was predicting the rocks again, but Kyrk is a very smart player. He's thinking right here, it's like Xatu's going to come in, so I'm just going to Dragon Tail him out. Unfortunately, it's Dragon Tail on Lantern. Now, Lantern is a pretty decent special wall, and we'll be able to scald the Nidoqueen, and Nidoqueen's not going to like that. So, Kyrk's going to go into Mismagius, sub up while the Darmanitan tries to come in and goes for the U-turn, and the U-turn is resisted because, you know, Mismagius is obviously Ghost type, and I honestly think he should have probably gone for the Flare Blitz, but to each their own. I'm not going to judge. No judging. But Kyrk goes for the Calm Mind once he realizes that the Shadow Ball is not going to be able to do much, and it would be a bit ballsy to just try to go for Shadow Balls and try to get the Spadef drop, especially when this opponent is throwing out Scalds and can potentially burn him, which Mismagius will kind of mind just simply for the fact that it will be getting, you know, damage on it. That's not really too favorable in his opinion, but I'm going to keep Calm Minding up, and Lantern at this point won't be able to do very much as Mismagius, especially since he's getting especially defensively bulkier. I'm sorry if that was really bad English. I think you guys understand at this point. But Kyrk is just going to keep trying to hide behind the sub, doing Calm Minds, trying to set this Mismagius up to sweep because he knows that once this Lantern's out of the way, it's going to be golden. It's going to be golden for Mismagius. But as you guys can see here, he goes for another substitute, and you know, Thunderbolt's coming obviously. In my opinion, I would have probably switched out at this point, try to go into something else. But like I said, no judging. I'm not the best player in the world. But that aside, we're just gonna keep watching. But 2-hit KO on the Lantern, which is pretty good because as you saw before, it only did 22%. But of course, he has 3 to 4 Calm Minds up. It's to be expected. Darmanitan goes for the U-turn, and I think this is a very good play on his opponent's part, because he's able to break the sub. Yes, he loses his Xatu, which is leaving Nidoqueen free to set up hazards, but Darmanitan is free to come in, Flare Blitz the Mismagius out, Mismagius out of the way. And that is one of the bigger threats on Kyrk's team taking care of. Now, Tangrowth is obviously going to be able to wall the Nidoqueen and be able to Leech Seed it, Power Whip. But unfortunate enough for him, his Xatu did die, and now Kyrk is free to set up the hazards like his Stealth Rocks and the Toxic Spikes. And he gets 2 layers of Toxic Spikes, which means if the Darmanitan wants to come back in, he's going to get badly poisoned, and the Tangrowth will also get badly poisoned if it decides to switch out and come back again and try to get the regen. So that was a key play on my part. Even though it is a little bit late game to set up hazards, it will be able to whittle down his opponent's Pokemon slowly but surely. Vileplume at this point is death fodder. He's just trying to bait the Flare Blitz to try to get some recoil damage and some toxic damage. So the Sharpedo is going to come in and just protect. Why not? He doesn't want to risk hurting his Sharpedo, and the Darmanitan will hurt himself. He won't hurt himself from Flare Blitz, but he will die to toxic damage. And the Tangrowth is going to come in and take Stealth Rock damage and be toxic. And he sent in his Nidoqueen to get Sleep Powder. Obviously, at this point, Nidoqueen has done its job. It is sleep fodder. Yeah, sleep fodder. That's what I want to say. Sleep fodder at this point. Doesn't really matter if the Tangrowth Leech Seeds it, because the toxic damage in the end will overweigh the leftovers and the Leech Seed damage. So Kyrk is just trying to wait until he gets a safe switch into his Sharpedo, and the Sharpedo now is free to come in, able to Toxic Stall the Tangrowth with a Protect, and this next turn he will be able to take him out with a nice crunch, stab crunch all the way. But if you guys enjoyed this narration, like, comment, subscribe, add to your favorites, you know, all that good stuff, and stay tuned for more videos from the POSimulator. Until next time, guys, peace out.